Hello, welcome back to Car Cam. Lovely sunny day, lunchtime practice. If you saw my video on my warm-up that I did, that was largely unsuccessful for me, I talked to my coach Stu afterwards, and he said that the reasons that it was unsuccessful for me are exactly the reasons why that sort of warm-up is the right way to go. And basically the upshot of the conversation, Stu led me to make my own conclusions, but essentially I just hadn't done the work. I hadn't done the drills. What I turned up with on that day was the swing that I had, and possibly no amount of fixing or whatever was going to give me a better opportunity round the course than just sticking with what I had and kind of being like autonomous, just letting the swing come out. So back to the range today, focusing on a couple of key things that I know that I can do wrong, focusing on what I saw in that last video where I wasn't getting up onto my left hand side. Most of the stuff that Stu has taught me is just basics. You know, it's a checklist. It's almost that scratch golf is easy. You just have to tick the boxes. Grip, setup. Basically, if you get your grip and your setup right, then it's tiny tweaks from there. And then obviously using the ground, which if you've seen Stu's videos on ground forces and stuff, you know what he teaches. But as you see in all of Stu's videos, it comes back to the grip most of the time, and that's kind of just the things that you work on over and over again. So gonna hit some balls, tell you what I'm working on, and we'll see if we can get some improvement. Right, we're on the range. Lob wedges to just get moving. I've done some warm up with some stretches and a bit of movement work, but it's just to get used to having something swinging around. The short shots for a warm up at the beginning of your warm up was something I was thinking about. So you'll see on these that kind of flat rear foot situation starts here, and I wonder how much of that is then creeping into my full swing. I don't really pitch like this. I got taught years and years ago to pitch in a very different way, which kind of locks you in a little bit in terms of your feet. I'll do a bit of that at the end, and I'll show you what I mean. But yeah, I don't really hit like half full swings for pitches like a lot of people do. I was going to say most, but I'm not sure what other people do really. So a few pitching wedges just to get used to it in a proper club. Focusing on some feels of pressure in the handle a little bit, and you can see that rear foot just, I don't know, it just seems like the bottom half isn't really engaged. What I'm really focusing on is my left foot pressing into the ground in transition. That's where it feels like a lot of power comes from for me, source of motion. When I first had a lesson with Stu, tail end of 2021, possibly December it was, he said to me, you know, I'd done well to get to where I'd got to, doing what I was doing, but fundamentally my concepts of the swing were wrong, or, you know, not how he saw the swing. So the thing that he taught me was that left foot. Really, that was the big change. And on that first day after having a lesson, I went straight to the range and hit hundreds of golf balls, just focusing on that kind of losing a bit of height on the backswing into your left leg, and then pushing back in transition. And what a difference. It was unbelievable. So I'll do a few more pitching wedges. The contact's kind of okay, not great. Onto the 7 irons then. So today isn't like a normal kind of range day. Sometimes I just go there and go into maintenance mode and just swing and have fun. But today I'm really trying to address something that I saw in that previous video, and that's that rear foot kind of not moving, which I'm sure, like a lot of people would just say, well, it's not really that important as long as you're making contact, good contact, middle. That one wasn't middle, that was out of the neck. Happens now and again on the range. Hopefully doesn't carry into my full swing on the course. But yeah, so right now I'm focusing on that left leg, loading in. You can see, a little hop. I'm pushing pretty hard for a 48-year-old office worker, but it kind of isn't doing what I expected. I thought if I would just focus on that, then everything else would happen, but it all just looks so static down there. So I'll do a bit of a drill here, just loading into that left leg, right leg straightens, weight goes into the right heel, and then push. So the weight goes into the left heel through the downswing and into the finish. Moving on a bit now. So another feel is this feel of the arms putting pressure down into the handle. Stu did a good video on that. The Tommy Fleetwood finish. It's not really what I'm going for, but just I do a bit of work with a TheraBand around the neck. I'll link to all the videos that I'm talking about of Stu's that are relevant to this in the description. They're well worth watching. I give my interpretation. I'm obviously not a golf professional, certainly not trying to teach anyone anything. This is just it's just an insight into how I think, and it might be the same that you think, it might be different to how you think, but hopefully something can be learned. So now, this is interesting. This is the feeling, right? Imagine a TheraBand around my neck, pushing weight through. That last shot, my rear foot was up in the position I expect it to be at the end of the golf swing. That was good contact. Certainly looked a lot more mobile downstairs, through the feet. At this point, I'm not thinking about the feet at all. I'm just thinking about the pressure down through the handle. It feels like super rigid arms to me when I'm doing this. But it all just looks tighter, more compact. And the feet seem to be reacting to the feel. Now, I don't know whether that's because I've done a lot of work on the other part and don't really need to think about that anymore. My body's organising itself around the other part that I'm doing. I think there's a lot to be said for that self-organising concept. Carl Morris talks about it. A bunch of other guys like that are kind of into skill acquisition and that sort of thing talk about these, giving your body a clear intention, and they often talk about external stuff like hitting the ball to the target or whatever, but for me the clear intention is to put force down through the handle throughout the swing, which maintains your arm structure and all that good stuff, but you see the rest of the body does what it needs to do in order to stop me falling over or losing balance, so my pelvis stays back, my feet apply forces, I naturally pull the handle without thinking about it. Here I started thinking about something else. I had a bit of a problem with overdrawing recently, and Stu and I were working on something at the top to deal with that. So the rigidity that I was feeling was kind of uncomfortable. That stuff worked. I could have at that point just focused on that, but this was really a session of discovery and trying out different things. And here what I'm really working on is steep feel going back, i.e. hands inside, club head stays outside the handle, and then really shallowing on the way down. It doesn't really shallow at all, but that's what it feels like. Lovely flight. For some reason I end up with heavier feeling when I do that shallowing stuff, and I'm not sure whether it's because I'm coming in shallow with the club face, so there's more time for it to drag along the ground. Normally I'm pretty steep and I'm just smashing down on the back of the ball, so it might be that if I'm focusing on this kind of shallow situation that I really need to focus on my ball position a bit more. But yeah, gone back to the previous feel, the shallowing thing, just I don't know, it feels weird to me. So there you go. Yeah, that's the feel. It looks like a big held off club face when I try and hold it shallow, so it'd be interesting to see what Stu says about this, but certainly not as good as just thinking about the one feel. And I think that's largely golf, right? We're trying to just let our body do the thing that it already knows how to do. You see that with some floors where people are early extending or whatever, and they're like, I really want to fix my early extension, but if they didn't early extend, they wouldn't be able to hit the ball. The body's just doing that so that you can get back to the ball, because if you didn't, you'd be smashing the ground like 4 foot behind the ball or whatever. So it's quite interesting concepts. So I've done a bit more of that shallowing nonsense, and it wasn't really doing it for me, and I'd kind of got myself into a bit of a weird place. So I'm just trying to free myself up here, just feel my weight moving around, just getting the club moving, in an attempt to now get to a place where I can just swing and not think and see what happens. And it's funny, not thinking and instantly gone back to that kind of flat rear foot, making good contact. These are decent enough shots, if we ignore what they look like, which I think a lot of the time is just vanity anyway. I hope you found that interesting or useful. Drop us a like. Give me a comment. What do you think about what I'm working on? Do you face any similar things? What do you think about the concept of self-organisation? If you have liked the video, please give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.